Chieftain was the main battle tank of the United Kingdom during the 1960s to 1990s. Development of a new British tank began in the late 1950s. First prototypes were completed in 1959. The Chieftain entered British service in 1965. It replaced in service the previous Centurion and the Conqueror tanks. When introduced, it was the most powerful main battle tank in the world. It outperformed contemporary tanks such as the US M60 Patton, German Leopard 1, and the Soviet T-62. Development of the Centurion, the Chieftain introduced the reclining driver position to British design, allowing a heavily sloped hull with reduced weight. A new power pack and improved transmission gave it higher speed than the Centurion, despite being heavier due to major upgrades to armor protection and the armament. The Chieftain was armed with a fully stabilized 122mm L55 rifled gun. It was an evolved version of the L11 gun that was developed for the Conqueror heavy tank. At the time, most other tanks were using smoothbore guns. The gun was fitted with thermal sleeve and was loaded manually with a maximum rate of fire of up to 8 rounds per minute. The tank could carry 53 main gun rounds. Interestingly, unlike other tanks, the 120mm Chieftain's gun could not use shape charge heat ammunition. Instead, the British tank used armor piercing discarding sabot APDS, the armor piercing fin stabilized discarding sabot APSDS, and the high explosive warhead HESH ammunition against armored targets. There was also a coaxial 7.62mm machine gun that was mounted on Commander's cupola. Initial versions used a 12.7mm ranging machine gun mounted above the main gun. However, it was eventually replaced by a laser rangefinder and a computerized fire control system on improved versions. Now, coming up on its armor, the tank had a welded steel hull and a well-sloped cast turret. The Chieftain had a number of unusual design features that allowed to improve armor protection without increasing weight. For example, the driver had adjustable seat and was driving while laying down. This allowed to reduce height of the forward hull. The tank was fitted with an excellent NBC protection system for the crew. The Chieftain was normally operated by a crew of 4, including commander, gunner, loader, and driver. The crew stations were rather comfortable. Also, the crew could stay in the tank for 24 hours and even longer. The tank had a boiling vessel, a device that boiled water for the purpose of brewing tea. It was often used for heating field rations. Initially, it was planned that the Chieftain will be fitted with the Rolls-Royce V8 diesel engine. However, in 1957, during the design phase, NATO introduced a policy requiring all armored vehicles to have a multi-fuel capability. The Rolls-Royce engine was not suitable for this role. Leyland Motors was asked to develop a new multi-fuel engine. The resulting Leyland 60 was a 19-liter opposed piston engine. It was compact and had high power output, producing 585 horsepower. With a 48 km per hour top speed and a 500 km range. The Leyland 60 was one of the first operational multi-fuel engines. It could run on diesel, petrol, jet fuel, kerosene, and even other flammable liquids. However, it was one of the worst mass-produced tank engines ever built. It was notoriously unreliable and smoked excessively. So excessively that the engine compartment was sometimes completely caked in black soot after a mission. As a result, the Chieftain tanks had low availability rates of only 32 to 35% at any given time, as most of the time these tanks were in the workshops having their engines repaired. Furthermore, it would take mechanics 8 hours to perform modifications to the tank in order to run on other types of fuel than diesel. So basically, there was little use of this multi-fuel capability. The engine was mated to a semi-automatic transmission which had 6 forward and 2 reverse gears. Engine and transmission were designed to be quickly replaceable. Interestingly, There was an auxiliary power unit also available, developing 30 horsepower. The Chieftain tank was also capable of fighting at night, as night vision equipment for the commander, gunner, and driver was also available. In the end, fairly looking at the tank according to the time of the Cold War, it was the best Western tank with adequate firepower, armor, and mobility.